I made this TikTok account for Josh because Josh's side of the story was never even mentioned, even though every second of what happened to him that morning was recorded. They told their side of Josh's side of the story, the ex-husband and the girlfriend, and they told their side of the story. But Josh's body told a different story from theirs, and this recording tells a different story from theirs. But that was never even mentioned. So this TikTok account is for Josh. I don't think any legal action can be taken against Josh's girlfriend since her ex-husband was acquitted. That's what they tell me. But the truth needs to be out. And everyone's going to know what she did and who helped her. So spread the message, like my videos, and if you like them, comment. I have a lot of likes and almost no comments. So tell me what you think. I need your input.
You're listening to Disinfecting Sunlight with Paul Vasquez. And now here's Paul.
I almost never imagined that a loved one of mine would go missing. But if I allowed my dark thoughts to take me there, I always took comfort in knowing that there are so many volunteer organizations, city and county services in the Houston metro area that, God forbid, that moment ever came, folks would rush in to assist in bringing my family member home. Well, this year, in April 2021, my 19-year-old nephew went missing in the city of Houston while wearing a probation ankle monitor. No one, not an officer of HPD, not his probation officer, or any well-known search and rescue organization would help locate him. Texas EchoSearch denied to assist us, not once, but twice. We even talked to the owner. Police didn't take us seriously until we took to the streets interviewing people and got several eyewitnesses that saw my nephew murdered. The only organization that believed us from day one and fought beside us in the trenches was First Priority Search and Recovery. Sean, Jason, and the rest of the gang have become family members to us. I pray your family never knows this pain, but I trust that if you do and you need help locating your loved one, that First Priority Search and Recovery will treat your family member like their life matters. Believe it when I tell you that bringing families back together is their first priority. And if you need them, you can visit their website. It's first, that's the number one, ST, priority, SAR, as in search and recovery.org, or you can give them a call at 979-645-1177. Again, that's 979-645-1177. First Priority Search and Recovery. Thank you. When Houstonians need real, unedited, and unfiltered reporting about what's going on in their city and in their neighborhoods, they don't bother with the mainstream media. They always have an agenda. Instead, Bayou City residents turn to the one and only Grizzy Castillo over at Grizzy's Hood News on Facebook. With her dedicated and interactive community, she helps give stories too often overlooked by the big networks the spotlight they rightly deserve, and sometimes even changes lives in the process. Check her out at facebook.com/Grizzy's Hood News. That's GRIZZYS Hood News, and Grizzy's Hood News exclusive. Facebook.com/Grizzy's Hood News.
It's caught on fire.
Started.
Hi, audience. It's Paul here with Disinfecting Sunlight. I have Jess with me. If you've been following me on TikTok, which of course you should be following me on TikTok at Justice4LittleAJ, then you'll know who Jess is. Why am I pointing that way? You're over here. So you'll know who Jess is. Jess very sadly lost her brother. He was murdered, Josh Pacheco, and that's why she's here. So let's start in the beginning. We'll obviously get to the murder and your quest for justice, because that is why we're doing the episode. But let's start on the little lighter side. Tell me about childhood. Which one of you is older? Where do you stand in terms of that?
He's the baby of the family and the most spoiled, the spoiledest of the spoiled. Yeah, he's the baby, and he was our only brother, my sister. So there's only 3 kids between he has a different dad, but he's not a half brother. He's always just been our brother. And so different dads, but same mom. And we grew up, and I mean, our mom did the best she could, so we didn't grow up like super poor, but we definitely weren't, we thrift store clothes. And I mean, we grew up together, like super tight as kids. And he was a rambunctious kid. Like, I don't know. He was hanging out with my friends in high school in like 5th grade. And my mom was like, your friends just came over and asked if Josh could play. Like, you're such a bad influence on your brother. And I'm like, he's a bad influence on me. You know, because he was like smoking pot back then and like drinking beers. And I'm like, you're going to get me in so much trouble.
Aw. What's the, so are you the middle child?
Yes.
Or are you the older? Oh, you're the, okay. And what's the age difference between you two?
4 years.
4 years, okay. What's his sign?
He is a Leo. His birthday is August 9th. Yeah.
Audience, for those that are listening, we talked beforehand about whether I wanted to do a reading or we're just kind of going to keep it factual. We're just going to leave it open. If things happen, things happen. So unfortunately, for those that are listening, you can't always see me staring into space, and there's a lot of dead air. So forgive me for that. Those that are watching, you can see me looking all loopy, but that's just how you know information is coming in. Did he take up for you once when you like snuck out to go to a party or something?
No, that was me taking up for him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even really a party. It was like, I was at a friend's house. It was on like a gathering, and like my mom was like, you need to come home. And so we were on our way home, and, we lived in Manteca at the time, and Manteca has these huge parks, and like we're walking, like my friends and I are walking home to my house, and like from afar we hear like giggling and laughing in the park. And so we're like, let's go check out what's going on in the park. Maybe we know these people. And so we get closer, and it's my brother and one of my best friends. They're sitting up in the slide, like the dome part of the slide, and they're drinking Mickey's. And mind you, Josh is in like 6th grade, like 5th, 6th grade. And I'm like, you are going to get me in so much trouble. And so I had to take him back to my friend's house where all the people were gathering, had to like sober him up some. And then like when we came home, like I had to lie to my mom and tell like, he's been with us the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, go straight to your room. Like, don't breathe on her. Like, don't look at her. Just go to your room. And so that time was, oh my gosh, he almost got us in trouble. Like, I'm like, you need, like, if you're going to do these things, like breath mints, eye drops, you gotta, you gotta cover your tracks. And so, yeah, I was at a party and I found him in a park. He wasn't hammered, but he was definitely like, I'm like, you're going to get me murdered. Mom's going to murder me. And mind you, my parents were Mormon at the time. So,
oh, girl, bye.
They would, my mom's gone through every religion, like Pentecostal, Catholic, she's been through them all. So, but yeah, they were Mormon at the time. And I'm like, you're going to get me murked. I'm never going to.
It's funny that he brings that because I'm glad that resonated with you. Because literally before we even started recording, he kept saying, ask her about it. And I'm just like, okay, is this Josh or is this someone else or am I just crazy? So thankfully I'm not crazy. Okay, what else? We may have talked about this already, but was he a troubled pregnancy?
No.
Okay. Because I often find the case of Nora, AJ, Vanessa Guillen, a lot of folks that die young are usually troubled pregnancies. I don't know why. It's just the dots that I've connected in my years of research here. Okay, let me see. If
he did have trouble as a young kid, so.
Health trouble?
No, it was just one incident, so.
Audience, if you're listening, I'm channeling right now, so just bear with me. Did one of you have like a really bad allergic reaction or like chicken pox or something? I'm seeing someone's covered with something, but I don't know what it is.
So Josh had chicken pox twice.
Okay.
And he, like, in his later adult years, like, he loved shrimp, loved all kinds of seafood.
There it
But
is. There it is.
when he was younger, he could eat it. But when he was older, like, he would get these Gulf-sized lumps if he ate shrimp, or I mean, ceviche was one of his favorite things to eat, and he like anytime we'd make it, he'd just be like, "I want some." I want some, but he couldn't because it looked like somebody hit him with golf balls all over his face.
God bless him. Okay, so he really is trying to connect with you. Okay. All right. Well, so where do I want to go now? Because yeah, he's coming through really strong, but I also kind of want to tell his story at the same time. So let's. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go here. Bear with me. Generally, I'm a little more researched, but there wasn't that much information to find on Josh outside of your TikTok. So sadly, I know what that's like. So what was his relationship like with your parents?
With my dad, when he was younger, like, when he would take us girls, he would take Josh too, because he always wanted a son. But in his older years, like, he was mama's boy. He's always been a mama's boy. Like, we've all had our issues with each other, but I think that even now, even with him gone, like, the day that he was, can I say the M word?
Yeah, you could say it on here.
Okay. So the morning he was murdered, my mom was actually scheduled for a colonoscopy. So she'd been up all night going to the bathroom.
Oh, God bless her.
She woke up. She had to be at this appointment at a certain time, and she was going to the bathroom, and a mirror that has been on the wall, she said, for years. She said it was like, boo, and it, like, from across the room it fell. And so when she got out of the bathroom, she went and looked, and the mirror wasn't broken, but it was like, it shouldn't have been off the wall, and it was. And then, like, 5 minutes later, she said that she got the call that Josh had been murdered. And so and then, like, a couple months after Josh was murdered, she was sleeping, and Josh came to her and was like, I didn't feel anything. And come to find out through that recording, he was paralyzed. He says multiple times in that recording that he's paralyzed. So so that just validated for me that was Josh talking to my mom, saying that he didn't, because she was worried, because when you're shot 8 times and you're laying there and no one's helping you, like, there's going to be pain associated with being shot. And, like, Josh told her, he was like, I didn't feel anything. And he's right. He didn't feel anything.
Did we already talk about this, or am I having deja vu? We haven't talked about this?
No.
So it wasn't you that asked me if Josh felt anything.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
No.
Okay. Now we kind of fast forwarded, but for the audience that's just that doesn't know anything about your story, for those that are listening and are exposed to you for the first time, tell us. Well, before we get to the murder, because we already skipped there, and we'll get right back to it. But what's the one thing you remember most about Josh growing up? If there's one trait that he had, something you missed the most about him as a boy, what was it?
I think just us being together all the time. Like, we weren't twins, but we were together all the time. And, like, if we weren't together, like, we were always connected in some way, always. And, like, me and him, like my mom too, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can do it, but, like, I can just look at him and know exactly what he's thinking, and he can tell what I'm thinking. And, like, it's like a channeling, and, like, we could each like hear each other, like, like, speaking to each other.
I get that.
Yeah. And so, like, that's what I miss most. Like, I just miss him, his goofiness. And
did he dump you and pull your hair a lot?
He was such a jerk to me as a little kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel
Yeah,
like he's trying to go behind you right now and just
right.
annoy you.
He just he as a kid, like when he loved Ninja Turtles, like as a kid, and as soon as the Ninja Turtles would go off, he would like start his little karate chops. I can remember he had like these little cowboy boots with like the metal, and he'd be like, oh, and he was always like me and him. Let me tell you right now, like me and him have fought. And like when he would introduce me to new people, he'd be like, hey, this is my brother, Jesse. And they'd be like, what? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why do you call her your brother? And he's like, cause she'll beat your ass like a brother. Like he's like, cause she beats my ass like a big brother would. Cause we've had our good times and we've had our very bad times. And we've both like cartoon cats in a cloud of dust, So, yeah. So yeah, he didn't pick on me. He was just little brother. It's just little brother stuff, like all little siblings annoy the shit out of you, So
Well, see, I'm sure I was annoying, but me trying to pick on Connie, that was not going to happen.
I know.
Connie would kick my ass. Anyways, okay. Now, how did you? Okay, so we're going to go to the dreaded day, and then we're going to pick up from there. Take us back to the day that you found out that Josh was killed. Just like, how did your day begin? What was the weather like? Like, just kind of paint us the picture.
Well, I'm going to take it back a month. So for a whole month before Josh was killed, I could not get with the program. And I kept telling people, I'm like, I don't know why I feel this way. Like, I knew I wasn't pregnant because you have to have SEX to be pregnant. But those emotions, like there was just a disturbance in the force. And I couldn't pinpoint what was happening, why I was feeling this way. But it was so disturbing that I don't do drugs. I can't do drugs because they don't work that way with me. But my family was like, you need to be on something, or you need to go see someone. And I just couldn't explain what, like, it was just being stretched all over the place and being frantic at the same time and not knowing why I was being so frantic about. Like, I don't know. It was like being manic, Mm-hmm. And I could not pinpoint what the hell was going on. All I can explain, like, it was just like a disturbance in the force. That's all I can explain it as. It was just a disturbance. And the morning that this happened, I was at a friend's house, and I woke up in a panic. And the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is you grab your phone. And my phone was dead. And so for like 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, I need a charger. Does anybody have a charger? I need a charger. And they were like, calm down. Like, go, like, I was going to go home and get a charger. And I was like, I need a charger right now. Like, does anybody have a charger? And like a buddy of mine went out to his trunk and got me a charger. And for some reason, I'm like sitting there like this, like I'm just like, 1, it's charged to 1, charged to 2, charged to 3, like 3%. And my leg's shaking, and I'm just looking at my phone, and I have no fucking clue why I'm doing this. And then at 3%, I turned on my phone, and my phone was ding, 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 ding. And so I got the message that Josh was murdered over a text message. And that was from my mother, because she couldn't get a hold of me because my phone was fucking dead. And she's like, your brother's been murdered. Where the fuck are you? And I mean, it just snowballed from there. Yeah. And then like my dumbass, like, I think I took like maybe 2-3 shots of vodka. And then I was like, I'm going to go. And all my friends were like, I literally fought 4 dudes. Well, they were my friends, but I literally like fought them because they're like, you're not going anywhere. We'll take you. And I'm like, I need to leave now. Like, I'm leaving now. They're like, you just had 4 shots. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I don't care. They're like, you're going to go to the murder scene with alcohol in your breath. You're going to get arrested. And so one of my buddies, Joe Parcher, bless his soul, he was like, I'll drive you. So we hit the liquor store and then we headed out to Gerber. And
so how far are you? How far are you currently, or how far were you from Gerber, California?
It's about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And the whole time I got the text message from my mom. I called my sister, and you know, she deals with things differently. So I was like, what's going on? I said, Mom just text me. And she's like, yeah, I know. I already know. And I was like, well, I was like, are you going to go out there? And she's like, she just started this job like probably like 8 weeks before. She's an LVN. And so she's like, I can't leave. And so I hung up with her. I called my mom, kept calling. And no, my grandma wouldn't answer. Nobody was fucking answering. So the whole drive out to Gerber, I can't get a hold of anyone. And we get to Gerber, and my friend was like going to park behind the crime scene tape. I was like, drive through that motherfucker right now. Like, just you drive through it. And we drove through it, and we parked behind. There was 2 white vans on the lawn. And me not being in my right state of mind was still thinking, what the hell are those vans doing on the lawn? Because I couldn't see Josh, but I could see the curtain that surrounded him. And then you could see the yellow markers all the way across the lawn. And I mean, this yard is like a half acre, huge yard, right? And it was just interesting to me, like why their vans were right, like not even 6 feet away. I mean, I watch crime shows, okay? Like, I'm a crime show nerd, and that was just odd to me. Like, them having their vans on the lawn, like right next to him, was just like, why? Like, this is a murder scene. Why are you not parking on the street? And I was almost arrested that day.
I got to pause for just one moment. Whew. I don't know what it is. I'm having a visceral reaction. I don't generally get anxious when I'm recording, but I just want to acknowledge for those that are watching, if you see my body language, I don't know if I'm picking up your anxiety or I'm picking up the anxiety of the day, but I'm just like, I'm turning into like beef jerky right now. Forgive me, audience. Again, I don't generally have anxiety when I record the show. But I'm feeling a lot.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It is heavy.
And that heaviness, I felt for a whole month before this happened. Like, it was just like, you know, like when you run and it's cold outside and like your lungs burn and you can't like take a full breath. And like, it felt, you know, it just felt like, I just couldn't get with the program. There was a disturbance in the force and I had no freaking clue what.
And there's still a disturbance in the force.
Right. I know.
It's not as heavy, but it's there. And even before we started recording, like, something did not want me to do this show. Because it was just like, I was getting anxious before the show, and my anxiety's been pretty chill. I mean, I have anxiety disorders, but it's been like pretty chill. But I was like about to go off on someone at Chipotle for no reason. It's not really in my nature. I was flipping people off on the way home. So I'm wondering what that is, and you may not have an answer for that.
No,
but
I do.
go ahead.
I do. When the last psychic I saw, she had no idea that I had been doing this investigation for the last 3 years. But one of the things that came out of her mouth was, Josh wants you to stop being Nancy Drew. She also told me that he's worried that his red rum will be solved with mine. So,
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be deja vu again. But no, we actually have talked about.
And what's even more interesting is the first 2 tries of putting the recorder onto the computer. Well, this isn't the recorder, but the first 2 tries putting that recording onto the computer, it destroyed a brand new computer the first time. And the second time, it was an older computer, but it still fried it. And my friend Angela was like, he's very superstitious. And he's like, I honestly think that this is your brother telling us not to do this. And my thought was like, the sheriff's department did something to it. Like, so.
Well, let's talk about the recorder. For those, again, that don't know anything about the case, what is the recorder? I mean, I know what it is. I know what it is, but for those that are just now hearing the story.
So Josh knew that these people, Josh's girlfriend and her ex-husband, wanted to kill him. They had been going around for like 6 to 8 weeks before all of this, saying to other people that they were going to do this, but his girlfriend was inviting him over. And I honestly think that their plan was to get Josh in the house, kill him in the house. And then, I mean, they stuck to part of the story, but Josh's body was outside 25, 30 feet away from the house. But they still stuck to the story that Josh was doing a B&E and he was a threat and all of this stuff. So Josh knew that they wanted to hurt him, but I don't think he knew like how serious it really was. So he had a recorder in his pocket and he caught 5 minutes and 58 seconds of his red rum. And it's like the whole thing, mind you, Josh's girlfriend said that she was so sound asleep that she didn't hear a 9mm high powered carbine rifle go off 10 times. And from where supposedly they say Josh's body was to her bedroom is less than 15 feet. So she said that she was sleeping. I have people that said that they were doing hot rails with her when Josh came over. When Josh came over to get his stuff out of the shed, like he didn't even have to go into the house or onto the property because the shed is right next to his house.
Let's pause right there for one moment.
Okay.
The reason I say that, now I'm going to get real witchy for just a moment. Audience, go there with me. I promise I won't lead you anywhere bad. I have felt something very demonic and something very dark. As someone who's recovering from a meth addiction, I can tell you what kind of energy that invites in. Hot rails generally are meth. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't know what those were until I looked it up.
Yeah, hot rails, for those that, well, most of my people that are listening are in recovery. They know what hot rail is. But for those that are listening for the first time, a hot rail is when you light a crack pipe stem so hot that when you snort a line of meth, it vaporizes as you snort it. It's a very strong high. As someone who has way too much experience with that drug, I can tell you what kind of energy that invites in, and it's nothing positive. Now, I didn't want to get all supernatural, but I've been feeling it the whole time, and once you said that, I'm like, oh, there it is. They call that the devil's candy for a reason, and I don't think they're exaggerating. I don't think they're exaggerating. I don't think it's Josh that wants you to shut up. I think a part of it is, but I think it's something evil. I don't think it's Josh isn't evil. There's something that just wants you to stop because there's just evil attached to this. And I know how like witchy that sounds, for lack of a better phrase.
No, you know what? To be honest with you, like I don't even want to say its name.
No, see where I come from, we name it, baby. Name it and take the power out of it.
Right.
Baby, I got to grab Jesus. Jesus, take the wheel, baby.
It's very powerful. And I do feel it around me. I know it's not Josh. I know it's not.
No, it's definitely a demonic presence.
Yeah. His name is Zozo.
There we go. Mine is Bagul. Once I name him, I laugh at him. He goes away. I mean, he comes back, but I ain't afraid of no Bagul. Bazozo,
No.
what'd you call him?
And I did not name him like that. That's from, I don't know. I just know that that's its name.
I've told you many times you're equally gifted, perhaps even more gifted than I am. But I'm glad you acknowledged that because I've been feeling it the whole time. And I know that I'm like, this is not Josh. Josh is a little worried about you, but not like this. This is like, shut up. Like, That's not Josh. But I can feel it. Whoo, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, now, so audience, you're really going to see all sides of me now because I've been kind of like tiptoeing the audience into my gift and how strong it is and what I see. The last episode was the first time I've ever done a reading on camera. The majority of my show was early on about recovery, and it's just kind of morphed into what it is as my life has taken some turns. Audience, there is something very dark and very demonic attached to this case. I can feel it. It makes me want to throw up, which is how I know it's demonic because it always gets me in my stomach. But having said that, it only has the power we give it, and I'm not going to give it any power. So, yeah. Honey, my stomach is gluten intolerant. It's demon intolerant too, okay? So it just is what it is. Now, having said that, I just want to acknowledge it's not Josh that's trying to set you up. It's something darker than that, which only means you're on the right path.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Whew, I'm going to woosah it out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go grab my daddy's crucifix.
Right.
Yeah. Girl. All right. Moving on. Okay. So tell us about the recording. How did you find the recording?
So a year after Josh was killed, we went down actually on a year to the day, we went down and got what we thought were going to be like all of his belongings, but they just gave us the cutout pockets to his jeans. And we knew that there was a recorder in his pocket because somebody that knew Josh like came to us all frantic the next day after Josh was killed and was like, he had a recorder on him because he knew that this was going to happen. You need to ask detectives about it. And so we asked and they were like, oh no, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it. There's nothing on it. So a year later, 30 days after the trial of Josh's girlfriend's ex-husband's acquittal, we go down and we get the contents of his pockets. And so me just believing the police department, the sheriff's department, like that thing sat up in I have a little mail carrier thing that all the incoming mail comes in. So I put it up there. It sat there for almost 3 years. And like, I think it was like December 7th, I was watching Ghost Adventures and I was like, hey, I have a recorder. I was like, I wonder if I like got right and summoned Josh, like if he would come and talk to me. Like I was wondering if I would. Yeah, I know. I was probably summoning like all kinds of shit. No wonder.
No. I'm not mad at you. I find it because I know what's coming, what you found. I'm just like, whoa.
Right.
Sorry. I'm like,
no, it's okay. So I'm like, get out this recorder, and there's A, B, C, and D file, and all of these files are just jam packed. And so the last file, D file, there was only two recordings on it, and I was going to delete them. Because I just wanted a fresh file, and that was the smallest file. So I was just like, I can delete two. And so I was pushing the buttons. And I was like trying to get it to work, because I was trying to see what was on it. And I pushed one button and then I pushed another button at the same time, and the date popped up. And it was this day. And I just sat there and looked at it. And I'm like, no way. And so I pushed play. And it was like, I could hear things on it, but it wasn't clear. And so I woke up my sister. I was like, Sarah, give me your headphones. Because my sister and I live together. And I was like, Sarah, give me your headphones. And she was like, what? Why? And I just turned the recorder around and showed her the date. And she's like, no fucking way. She's like, no way. She's like, what? She's like, what possessed you to get this recorder? I'm like, fucking Zach Baggins. I'm like, Zach Baggins. Like, and so as I'm watching fucking Ghost Adventures, I have these headphones in, and I played over and over and over and over. And then the next day I went and got like an RC jack that went to my phone headphone plug-in thingy to the speaker outside. And I started playing it on that. And then I started listening to it like super loud and recording it. And then I think it was like maybe a couple months later, my friend Angela was like, hey, I can help you get this recorder onto a computer. First computer crashed, brand new. His computer was brand new. He'd only had it for like a month, right? Completely shut it down. It still to this day does not work. Second time, it was an older laptop. Put it on there, nothing. Like it broke the goddamn computer. It will not work. It will not even turn on. And
Can I pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting like all kinds of I pay attention to numbers. That's how my gift started. That's really how my gift started. AJ always comes to me in the number 19 without fail. It's not lost on me that 19 is how old AJ was, and 10 is the day that he was born. He was born on December 10th. Just saying.
Oh my gosh.
And we should probably talk about this off the air, but if you have the digital file, I forgot that I pay the subscription to this really expensive like audio converting software. This is how I do my podcast, which will cut out a lot of the noise and isolate the vocals. So if you have a digital file, I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Oh, I do. I have multiple copies.
Send it to me and let me see what I can do because it's automated. I just click a couple things and let it go. But I pay for it. It's what I'm going to do to this podcast when we're done.
I've been using Audacity. So
Audacity is great, but this like takes all the guesswork out because you have to be like a rocket scientist to understand Audacity.
It's taken me 3 years to figure out what I need to do to get it to where it's audible and I can hear it. I mean, there's a lot of people on my TikTok that are like,
it's hard for me to hear it.
And then there's like Jody Wan Kenobi, like she can not only can she hear it, but she's like, there's more than one shooter. And that coincides with I've seen 3 psychics and they've all said the same, well, almost the same thing. One said there was more than one shooter. The other one said that there was multiple people involved in this. And the other one was like, there were 2 guns. And when you,
I can tell you what I see, and the first thing I think of when I go to that night, I see a woman antagonizing Josh, waiting for him to like raise his hand, and then the moment he does, because she's got him there, is when he's like bum rushed. So forgive me, I'm kind of cutting to the chase.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
She knew exactly what she was doing, allegedly.
Yeah, she did know what she was doing. Like she's in sync with those gunshots, saying, I trusted you and you went behind my back. And Josh is like, I don't care if you fucking trusted us. And then like her response, like after she's in sync with those gunshots, she says that, and Josh replies to her, and she's just like, bam, 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 bam. She's pissed off that he had just said that to her. So that was her response, was to shoot him multiple times. And he was already on the ground. He says he's paralyzed before that. So
we're supposed to believe that Josh was breaking and entering and they shot him
in a house that he'd lived in for over a year, and he didn't want to be there. He had been staying away.
How does that make sense? Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Right.
Is there a Caroline or a? Or is it a Conaline? Oh, girl, I'll be here all night. We'll do a reading off there. Because I'm hearing like a Caroline, or it could be like a Conaline, like a van. I don't know what that is.
Write it down. We'll write it down.
Yes, girl, I'll be here all night. Sorry, audience. We're all over the place, and that's okay because I have ADHD. But you listen anyway. Okay, I gotta stop because I'm like channeling really strong, and I need to finish the episode. Okay, so so you got the recording. Tell me about the first time you heard something, like something connected to Josh. What were you feeling? What was going on in your head? Like, what the fuck?
Now, my jaw was on the ground because for the first 3 years, we all we believed the narrative that Josh's girlfriend's ex-husband was the shooter, and he was acquitted, and there was nothing that we could do about it. And the first time I ever heard the gunshots, like clearly, and then I heard a woman's voice, because Josh's girlfriend said that she slept through the shooting. Like, first of all, you don't sleep through the shooting. Second of all, I know that she wasn't asleep. She was up doing drugs, 30, 40, 24 minutes, 30 minutes before Josh was unalive. So.
Let me let the audience know. Ain't nobody sleeping after a hot rail. I'm just saying.
Right. And so my first reaction, my fingers were smoking. I was emailing the district attorney. And I have over like 2,000 emails that I've sent him in the last 3 years, because it's just like, what are you doing? And now that I know, like, in that recording, Josh's girlfriend says that her uncle runs the politics and that he would get them off, and it would be self-defense. That's like seconds before Josh has shot multiple, like.
Girl, she can't even criminal, right? I'm just saying.
Right.
If you're gonna murder someone. Right. Maybe you don't say it out loud. Hey, they can get us off while you're murdering.
And the reason why I know it's her is because Josh calls her out by name.
Of course.
And he says, "I trusted you, so and so." And she's like, "Shut up."
Yeah, so and so.
Yeah, and so that places her in the yard when she and her daughter were supposedly so sound asleep that they didn't hear anything. So that was really when it started to take off. And I homeschool my kids, but I'm really busy. So every single weekend and every single time that we had a break, or we just were going into Christmas break when I found this recording. Because I found it on like December 7th. And so that whole Christmas break, I had time to work on it, watch YouTube videos, tutorials on how to work Audacity. And it's interesting. I go back 3 years ago and I watch the videos that I made, and then the videos I have now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I've come so far, because there's a lot of people that can hear what I hear. There's a lot of people that can't. And I think
if I had the actual file, I think I could hear it a lot better than trying to hear it from my phone through a TikTok video.
Right.
And I would like to, if you can, I would like to edit a couple of the files together and include on the podcast so people can hear it and know that you're not pulling this out of your ass. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, I would, if with your permission, obviously, would like to include some of the audio. Maybe not all of it, but just some of the like telltale moments, because ultimately I would like. We want justice. I'm hoping the podcast, blows up. I'm hoping the fact that you've been sitting on a recording for 3 years without even knowing it, get some folks on your side.
So it'll be 6 years in October. So the first 3 years I sat on it. And for the last 3 years, I've just been like, my family is not like, oh, fuck, here we're talking about this again. But they're like, I can tell that it hurts them to the point where they can't hear it, and they don't want to. They know that what I'm doing is for the better, for the good of Josh, but at the same time, they're just so paralyzed with grief that they just shut it out. And so I'm like Sherlock without a Watson, and Watson without a Sherlock sometimes. Like, that's how I feel.
I'll be your Watson. You got Uncle Paul. I'll be
I know
Watson.
that's what you said. That's what you said when I first talked to you.
I'll be your Watson. But now I'm still hung up on it though. The first time you heard it, I'm going to sound like a therapist, and that's okay, because I like to play one on TikTok. Yeah. What are you feeling? what is the feeling when you hear this recording and you
Panic.
hear panic or
Mhm.
manic?
Panic.
Interesting. Why panic?
Like the whole, like this whole thing. Okay, so the only person I told this to was my mom, and it was after Josh was killed, and I told her, I was like, Christy did it. And like, you know, with understanding the circumstances, like I would say that, but it was just this, so almost like the month before, like it was just this, like I couldn't, like that's all I could think about was Christy did this. And when I found that recording and I actually started to clean it up and I heard that female's voice, and then I heard my brother call her out by name, it was like, holy shit. Like I was right this whole time. And when I told my mom, I said, here, listen to this. And she's like, holy shit. She's like, how long you been telling me that this is what's happening? This is what's happening. And I said, see, I told you. Like, I'm like, see, I fucking told you. I fucking told you. And I mean, she has abilities too. Like, I'll get into that on another podcast, but she has known some shit that she shouldn't have known. And it led to a divorce. And
girl.
So
I'm just connecting with you on so many levels because now, granted, our case has not been 3 years, but I remember, just to connect with you for a moment, not to make it about me, but just so you feel like you're not alone. I told this on my TikTok, but in May, the day that Connie called me to tell me that little AJ was missing, I knew that he was dead. I knew it. I couldn't tell her that without breaking her heart, but I knew it, and I sat on it. And then, like, maybe a few days after, as they're starting to post flyers and things, I start having visions, and I literally think I'm losing my mind because I'm over here just working at work because I work from home. So I'm working, and I fall to the ground. It's like someone hits me, and I fall to the ground, and I start seeing a warehouse. Now, a warehouse, like a glorified shed. I start seeing a party. I start hearing voices. I start seeing little AJ running from the warehouse. And I see a crowd around him, and then I see his final moments. I thought I was going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs until we got the ankle monitor report. And the moment I opened it up, this is 2 months later, I open it up to the last pages, and then I see he spent 41 hours at this one address. So I type it in Google Maps, and sure enough, it's a shady-ass looking warehouse. And I'm just like, you know what? I got to fucking be there. I need to go to Houston now. And 2 days later, we solved the murder. But don't tell HPD that.
Right. Yeah, I watched that video, how you thought it was your brother laying with you in bed, and it was AJ.
Girl, I wish I could post I got to find the original video, because I posted on TikTok that day, and then like 30 minutes later, Connie calls me.
Right.
It was May 11th. I remember the day. But I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, that's the May 11th. That's the day my uncle passed away. He died in 92, May 11th. While the riots were going on in LA, and I could always just remember like thinking like, what a time to die. Like what, like we were there when the LA riots were happening and watching my uncle pass away. He died of AIDS.
Oh, honey.
And so he died May 11th. So.
sorry. Now I'm channeling again.
No, it's fine. Interesting how AJ, you got that call on May 11th.
I tell people this until I'm blue in the face that everything is connected. And once we're gone, once we leave this mortal coil or mortal plane, it all makes sense. But I do believe everything's connected. I don't think anything is coincidence. I think, now I'm going to get really, really cuckoo, but I think that death and time are human constructs. I don't think they really exist.
Right.
I think, at least on the other side, time is not linear. It's more kind of like, I don't know. It's all over the place. So I'm going to get real cuckoo. So let's get back. Okay, so you're feeling panic. You tell your mom. You show your mom the recording. Now, you've been at this now for 3 years. Honey, I'm losing my mind after one. How are you keeping it together?
Weed.
We each have our thing, baby. No judgment.
Right. Well,
It's legal.
for the first year, I kind of, well, not, it wasn't a year. It was maybe 6 months after Josh died. Like I'm not a really big drinker because I'm a lightweight, and I picked up drinking, and I drank two 11% tall cans and ended up blacking out and waking up strapped to the bed of a hospital bed the next day. And then I did a 72-hour hold because supposedly I went psycho. And like I said, drugs don't work the way drugs work with other people. And the nurse told me that I kept telling them that uppers are downers and downers are uppers. So don't give me anything. I'm just drunk. I need to sleep. I don't remember saying that, but I was just like, I'm like, supposedly they came in, they were like, we're going to give you some medicine. And I was like, no, I don't remember, but they were like, we're going to give you medicine. And I'm like, no, like, don't do that. To this day, I still don't know what they gave me, but the nurse came in the next day, was like, we should have listened to you because you were drunk and crying and upset. She's like, but when we came in, like they had to strap me down because I was so like adamant, I don't want any medicine. I don't. And she's like, the first one, she was just like, you went from like 1 to 10. And she was just like, we thought, you needed another one. And so that supposedly they gave me 2 shots in each of my leg. And she's like, I've never seen anybody come up off of bed. She was like, it was like The Exorcist. And she's like, we had to literally strap you down. And like, I was bruised all over. Like I had bruises like on my arm. And she was just like, we should have listened to you. Because whatever they gave me, instead of calming me down, like it just made me like straight up. And
audience,
so,
for those that don't know Jess, we've talked personally, but Jess is one of those people where when she says uppers or downers for her, they really are, and downers are uppers. So like meth would probably put her to sleep, and
36
heroin
hours
would
the first time I tried it when I was 18.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get hooked. I'm glad you didn't get hooked.
Like I can drink this much coffee, and I actually have to be careful. Like if I want a good night's sleep, I'll microdose coffee because it really does knock me out.
God,
cold.
I wish.
It knocks me out. So it's like a sleeping pill for you, pretty much. And so I did a stay at the psych ward because they were like, you're crazy. And I was like, you're an asshole. I told you not to give me this medicine. I was just drunk and emotional. Like I'm not mentally unstable. I was emotionally unstable, and y'all didn't listen to me. And you gave me these drugs that obviously worked in the opposite direction of what you wanted. So now I have to spend 72 hours in a psych ward because you guys didn't listen to me. And you turned a drunk, sad girl into a fucking raging exorcist nightmare because you didn't want to listen to me. And so, but I don't really remember any of it. That was what the nurse told me the next day when she came in. She was so sweet. She was apologetic. She was so sorry.
In fairness to them, you did come in after ingesting a lot of alcohol. So maybe they're like, okay, we're not going to take her word because she's obviously drunk.
Right. And my sister's a nurse, and she's like, they shouldn't have given you anything. Like, if you're that intoxicated, like that could have stopped your heart. That could have given you a heart attack. Like they should have given you anything. No Ativan. I don't even know what they gave me to this day. I really don't. Maybe I should look into that because they took my gun rights away. Like I will never own a gun, but this year is year number 5, and I'm going to go down and reinstate those gun rights because I'll never own a gun. I'll never buy a gun, but I just want that right to have a gun if I wanted to ever. They stripped me of my gun rights.
I might take that part out of the episode because I don't necessarily want those that might want to do you any harm to know that you're unarmed. Just in fairness, unless you want that in the episode.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, just checking. Because yeah, I would hate for anyone. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty vocal about not owning one either because of my own depression.
No, I have
But
2 huge dogs, and like if anybody were to come in here, they'd be sorry. Like they would be really sorry.
now you can own a gun, but other people in your house can own guns,
Right.
and they do.
No,
And
actually, my dad just recently passed away, and he had this. It's like a pepper spray, but it's like in these balls, and it's like a gun. So it's like paintball gun.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called, but yeah.
Yeah. And so we have one of those. And so that's pretty much the only thing that we would ever have in the house. We have kids, so.
Well, also you're known for giving a good beat down.
Right. Yeah, I know. And Josh was too. And I'm pretty sure that's why they used weapons, because they knew they couldn't take him. They knew they couldn't take him any other way. Like they couldn't
Damn it, Josh.
What?
Sorry. He's telling me that someone was watching him that entire day. Like they had their eyes on him. They were making sure that he kind of followed the path that they wanted him to follow.
I know exactly who that is.
But yeah, somebody was watching him that entire day just to make sure that he was following the breadcrumbs.
I know exactly who that is.
Josh, she knows, okay?
Right?
Sorry, I feel like Oda Mae from Ghost.
Is he yelling at you?
Kind of, yeah. It's like, dude, make sure she knows. Make sure she knows.
Right.
Ay vey. He's a loud one.
Right. I know the first time I ever talked to a psychic, I didn't tell her anything. I just sent her a picture, and she was just like, holy shit. He's like, she was like, he is over here yelling at me, wrongly accused. And she was like, he kept saying wrongly accused. And
now we got you, bro.
Right. And I was like, Bubba, stop yelling at her. And she's like, no, he's not yelling at me. He's just so excited that he's finally connected with somebody that can connect with me. And she said he just kept saying wrongly accused. Wrongly accused. I was wrongly accused because they accused him of doing a B&E. They accused him of being a meth monster. They accused him of attacking.
He wasn't a meth monster. Definitely wasn't a meth monster. Does one of your daughters or one of your children have autism?
No, but he does have major learning disabilities.
Okay. Was Josh like obsessed with bacon?
What?
Was Josh obsessed with bacon?
Yeah, he loved bacon.
Okay. Now he's like, it's like the most random fun facts now.
Yeah, right. Bacon.
Bacon. Okay. That's very random. It's definitely
squirrel.
Josh. Yes. He's triggering my own ADHD. Kids, don't do meth. It's a horrible drug. It'll fuck you up and leave you all. And I'm not talking about Josh. I'm talking about me.
Right?
Yeah, because it has me all over the place. And he's not helping because he's like literally like circling me right now, like bro.
He would do that in life too. He would come into a room and he'd walk around you, and you're like, what are you doing? And we always would like later on we'd catch on, but he was fart. He would walk in a circle and he would fart like a whale doing the bubble to catch the fish. Like he would walk around us and like circle us, and we would be like, what are you doing? And they'd be like, oh my God. Like, and he would just be like, and the whole time he'd be looking at us and like, what are you doing? Like he would circle us. Like he would definitely circle me. He was raunchy sometimes. But he was always joking. Like he never had a serious bone in his body. I mean, if you pissed him off enough, he would get serious. But like
now he's trying to let me know that it doesn't bother him that I'm gay. It's really random.
Because in life, he did have issues with Well, our uncle was gay. He was very flamboyant gay, like, but Uncle Henry could
he
get like
used the F word. He used the F word, but he's like, it doesn't bother me, bro, that you're fat. It doesn't bother me. I'm like,
that's that's one of the things I was thinking about, because I mean, Josh had his issues, but at the same time, like, he was such a good guy. But he didn't have a problem with gay people. But he would say like derogatory comments, like any redneck freaking backwood dude would say. And so that was one of the things. That was one of the things I was thinking about. Like, is he going to really connect? Because he would have a problem with Uncle Paul being gay, and that was like one of the things that I was thinking about. Good job, Josh. Way to graduate from those.
I think he's more excited that he can talk to someone than he cares about who I sleep with.
Yeah.
So it's like he's been waiting years. So he's like, yeah, what does it matter? But also, what I know about the other side is that once you cross over there, like life
matters.
makes sense. Like, things make sense. Like, all these answers you have make sense. Josh, however, still likes to linger on the earth side of things. He's more, and now I don't pretend to be an expert at crossing over, but it doesn't feel like he likes being over there much. He feels like he likes to be raising hell with y'all.
Right. That's awesome.
You may have answered this already. Did Mom have a health scare recently?
She's having a lot of health scares right now.
Okay.
She's got yes.
I think that's his big issue with staying over there, is that he's more concerned about Mom, and Mom has been having years of health issues. I think that's why he's clinging on so much to y'all. Because it almost feels like, and I'm not saying Mom is passing anytime soon, but it almost feels like he wants to pass with her, like cross with her, so she's not alone. Because he is the baby.
Right.
And I feel like Mom held his hand through a lot of things, and he kind of wants Mom to hold his hand through this too.
Right. Aww.
Even though he's all like, I'm a macho man, like, he's still a big softie. Like,
You're
still
funny.
A big softie.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious that you call him a macho man, because like he was like little Mighty Mouse. Like he was, the little cartoon, the Looney Tunes cartoon with the bulldog, short, stout, and just racked, and like that's he macho man. And my mom always would say, "You're not Mighty Mouse. Like you need to calm down a little bit." He's just, because he was so like. He was a little bit taller than me. I think he was like, I'm 5'5", so he was like maybe 5'6.5". So we were like, he's short, stout, little fucker, like, so yeah, he's all macho. Like that's how he would walk, like all the time, arms out, like just strut.
That's funny, because that's exactly how my brother was too. Now, I had very few memories of him because he was murdered when I was 3. But I have 3 very distinct memories, and that's one of them. Because they literally called, his nickname was Mighty Mike, because he was just like, oh, I'm a badass. Girl, bad.
Yeah, Josh thought the same thing. Fucking badass.
AJ too, in fairness. AJ too. Okay, there's so much I got to tell you off the recording, because I know the podcast listeners are probably like, what the f are they talking about? Because AJ is annoying the hell out of Josh. They're obviously talking because they're all together, because whenever I do the podcast, AJ comes around. But AJ's just like, bro, look at this, bro. And he's just like, dude, will you shut up? I'm trying to talk to Paul. Anyways, y'all, I'm not crazy, I promise. Okay, let's wrap it up here. Obviously, I'll put your TikTok handle on the video so they'll see both of them, just in case they ban the one, you still got the other. How can people help? Now, I know Lady G posted about Josh today. Thank you, Lady G. Love you.
Thank you, Lady G.
I'm going to post that video with her permission, which she'll grant it to me. But I'm going to post that video at the very tail end of the podcast with the number of the California Department of Justice. Is there any other way that folks can help other than calling the California Department of Justice?
Just be the voice of the voiceless, not just to Josh, like to all the stolen lives that have been taken from us. Like go and take the time and watch my videos. I have a friend, her name is Nikki. Her mother was murdered, and the murderer is still free. And it's a cut and dry case on her end and what happened to her mom. And so just take the time, if you have the time, to watch these videos and come to your own conclusions. Tell me what you think. Like tell me what your conclusions are. What do you think? Like I don't need the recognition. I need that to be validated, because the more validation I get, because supposedly I can't have a trial by jury, right? Everyone is telling me that Josh's girlfriend can't be charged because her ex-husband was acquitted. Mind you, he was acquitted in 23 minutes. But supposedly they try to tell me that there's nothing that they can do to get her behind bars unless someone comes forward as an eyewitness to what she did, then they can't do anything. So if I can't have a trial,
even with the recording, with
Yep.
Josh's voice.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Something is effed up. Something is
Right.
definitely effed up there.
No, honestly, that sheriff's department put that Josh's girlfriend before the pursuit of justice. They put her husband before the pursuit of justice. So if I can't have a trial by jury, I'm going to have a trial by community. And like 7,000 people are going to be judge, jury, and people are going to know. Like I said in a video that has like 100,000 views, like everyone's going to know what she did and who helped her. And
hey, public opinion, the court of public opinion can oftentimes be stronger than, sadly.
Right.
And forgive me if just piggybacking on what you said. Y'all, the thing I think I've learned through the Justice for AJ movement, through Justice for this Josh and other Josh, there's so many Joshes, God bless you. But the movements that I'm taking part in now is that the powers that be, the authorities, the judicial systems, they're asking us to suspend logic and not use our brains and not use our common sense. Because if you pay 5 minutes of attention to most of these cases that are laid out in front of you, you're not an idiot. Like it's open and shut. AJ's case is literally open and shut. Josh's case, Josh names his killer. I can say it. I almost said unaliver. I can say it here. Josh named his killer. And yet she can't face any charges. What kind of bullshit, fucked up system? Sorry, you got me.
Especially she painted herself into a corner. Like that is the easiest alibi story to stick to, because she had an 8-year-old daughter that witnessed it too. So the easiest story to stick to for an 8-year-old is I was sleeping and I didn't hear anything. And she reiterated the same thing. Her statements over and over again was, I didn't hear anything. I was sleeping. I didn't hear anything. So that's the easiest bullshit story to stick to in the alibi book. But she painted herself in the corner, because now I have her on recording.
You absolutely do. And at the beginning, before we did it, during the pre-interview, I said not to mention her name. But now that I've laid it all out and you have it on recording, if she were to sue for slander, she would have to prove that you were lying. And she can't really do that because you have it on recording. So please say her name. Please say her name.
Her name is Christy Bishop.
Ooh, what a bishop. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Bishop,
what a bitch.
Please. Girl.
Bishop.
Putting the bitch in Bishop. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Christy Bishop, I'm calling you out too. You got Uncle Paul here. Because you would literally have to prove that we're lying, and that you'd have to say we're lying, and you'd have to prove that, and the audio recording states otherwise. So bring it, baby.
She also supposedly she's going around telling people that she has Josh's son. And she was like maybe a week or two pregnant, maybe 3 weeks pregnant when she did this to Josh. Not only was she high on meth, she was pissed off
girl.
that he was leaving, and she had those pregnancy hormones going through her body. So it was definitely overkill. Like, you don't shoot somebody 8 times, twice in the back and 6 times in the chest. That, like, it wasn't a B&E. It wasn't self-defense. It's classic case of overkill. And I would love to have a profiler take a look at this case. Tell me if it's a male or if it's a female, because I bet you anything it would come back. Like, the profile would come back.
That's a crime of passion.
No, actually, it wasn't a crime of passion because they had planned it. They had planned it.
But see,
the crime of passion is like, I'm mad at you right now. Boom, 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 boom.
Fair enough. From the legal desk, you're absolutely right. What I mean is, it did not go off as planned. It was not supposed to be 8 shots. Something happened that night, because I see her flipping like a switch. Just, and I blame the meth and, you know, being a cold-hearted bitch, but and the meth, and the meth.
Yep.
God bless that child. God, if that is Josh's child, God bless.
She named it after him. She named it Cole. She named the baby Cole Joshua Daniel Pacheco. And then a month later got on the stand and testified in her ex-husband's defense. That's how twisted she is.
Okay, we have to have a happy thought to end on, because that just turned my stomach.
Lady Guinevere. Lady Guinevere.
Lady G. Baby, if you're not following Lady G, you got to follow Lady G.
You know, I'm so nervous, but at the same time, I'm like, finally. And will you please do me a favor? Will you talk to her, and maybe hopefully she can do a story about Nikki's mom? Because
I will do I try not to, because she is a personal friend now. I try not to.
Okay. Well,
I don't want her to think I'm using her for, you know, clout or anything like that.
Well, I'm going to ask her because
she is
needs recognition too.
I'll tell you off the podcast. But I try not to pressure her to push any cases out as much as I want to get justice. Now, I will post the hell out of Nikki's case. Typically, when she sees me really passionate about something, you know, she takes notice. But yeah, we'll talk off here.
Thank you.
Absolutely, because that is a case that means a good deal to me too. After I started, I mean, again, 5 minutes in that case, and I'm like, what the fuck, people, really?
Right.
it's another one of those
no-brainer.
WTF. Yes, it's a WTF case. I'm going to start a whole playlist on my TikTok called the WTF cases. Like, Josh is going to be one of them. Nikki's mom's going to be one of them.
AJ,
now, how do you want to end this show? In Josh's honor, what do you want to end this show on? What do you want to?
I just want everyone to, you know, if you call someone your friends, like, you be their friend. And there's a lot of people out there that consider they said that they were Josh's friends, and none of them were Josh's friends. Like, they weren't feeding his soul, they were feeding his demons. And so,
girl,
if you know anybody that's struggling with, I mean, not too often is male domestic violence talked about, but it does happen. And if you know someone that is dealing with domestic violence and that's a male, like just believe them and try to help them as best you can. And, you know, because if Josh would have came to me and said, this is what's happening, because as a male, you don't want to admit that you're being abused. And I think, like, it was like a pride thing with him. But my mom saw a lot of that abuse from her.
That's why you're here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I've been wondering why I'm so drawn to this case, why AJ is all over this case, because AJ was a victim of the same thing. And the moment AJ left his girlfriend several times over the 4-month period. And then whoever he was with, she would be blowing up the phone, and I know you're with him. Like, I've got screenshots. And so that's the connection. That's why AJ is so passionate about this case, and like, he's been pushing me towards you, is because they share that commonality. I'm not, and I ain't trying to paint AJ as no saint. He definitely
No,
did put his hands on her.
Josh was not a saint either. Josh and his girlfriend were toxic for each other. It wasn't just one-sided toxicness. They were toxic to each other. And he put hands on her and she put hands on him. But like I told you, my brother and I used to go around, right? But he would never hit me unless I started it. Like he was only a vicious pit bull if you bit him first. Like he was very docile, loved everything, loved kids, loved just happy-go-lucky. But if you bit him first, you were FUCK'd, you know.
Baby. And what people don't often know about domestic violence, I could say it on here. Sorry, right. I'm so used to TikTok language.
I know. So used to TikTok.
Damn you, TikTok. But what most people, I think, that have never been involved in domestic violence, God bless you for one. Thank God, count your blessings. But the hardest time for anyone experiencing domestic violence outside of the abuse itself is the moment you try and leave. That's when the shit hits the fan. AJ literally told a friend on April 13th, hey, I am going to turn myself in. I'm going to skip curfew. I'm going to turn myself in because I'm tired of this shit. I want to be done with this case and move on. And then his ankle monitor goes dead the next day, and he's dead 2 days later.
I know. They tried to say that Josh was this and that, and I'm like, who's dead? Who's dead?
Baby.
Who's dead?
Ooh. Stop. And can we stop victim blaming? And stop justifying murders. Stop justifying murders. There is no justifiable homicide. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry. Nobody gets to play God, in my opinion.
Especially when they shoot him in the back. Like, how do you shoot somebody in the back when they're coming at you? Doesn't make sense.
And do we believe? Okay, one more thing, and then I'm gonna let you go. Do we believe the neighbor when the neighbor said he didn't hear anything? Because I was just reading that article before we got him. Do we think it happened in the house and Josh was running out, or do we think it happened outside?
Oh, everybody in that town of 1,000 people were woken up to cannon fire that morning. Like everyone in town heard,
except for their neighbor.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm sure you read the article. I was about to say I'll send you it too. I'm sure you have it. But
I have it.
But yeah, he said he didn't hear anything until the cops got there, which I find really hard to believe. Because he heard fighting, according to him, he heard fighting all the time, but you didn't hear 8 rounds.
No, that was actually 10.
Oh, even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a full 10 clip. So, yeah.
Baby. All right, Mama.
I just want to end this by saying thank you. I appreciate you. And I was just researching when I first saw the very first video of your face, and because I was like, when did you come into my life? Like, when did I actually notice? And it was in September.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Whew, girl, if you knew how bad September was for me, baby.
I know. It was in September, and I'm like, gosh, I mean, I didn't know you at the time, but I've been following this since September, and
I'd rather have my nephew back, and sadly, I mean, that would mean I wouldn't be your friend, and I wouldn't know a lot of people. But if I could just have him back and fix him, fix him.
Yeah.
But the silver lining is that I get to meet some amazing people. Sadly, we're all brought together by trauma. But most of the people that I've met are just like the most beautiful souls you'll ever talk to. You're an amazing woman. You're smart as fuck. You're gorgeous. I love your hair. Your hair is just like on point, girl. Sorry, I'm getting really gay now. Unlike some of ours. But like TikTok and AJ has brought so many amazing people in my life. So again, I'd much rather have you here, AJ. But if this is the alternative, if this is what I got, then I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, where is AJ? Where is AJ? Like, someone needs to know. Someone needs to say something, because
I know where my nephew is. I always have. I just don't know how to get down there and get him. I firmly believe that at least his head is in the sewer line underneath where he was killed, because there's literally a sewer line right there. And I've seen it several times in my visions. I just don't know the first thing about getting down there. But that's why I was climbing down into the manhole to begin with. I was literally looking for my nephew's head.
I saw that video.
Oy.
Super
Anyways, on that note, I'm going to stop crying. I love you, honey.
What did y'all think of that? You'll notice that I did a reading during the episode. That's probably going to be the norm from now on, because I am a psychic medium, and I've fully accepted that. And I can't talk tonight, but you know what? I'm perfectly imperfect. I have accepted that I am a psychic medium. Where that gift comes from, I don't know. But it's there. So if the subject has been deceased, or is deceased rather, you'll likely be getting readings from now on, because they come to me and I feel things, as you saw during the show. Now, typically I would make these episodes kind of fluffy with, media coverage and different news clippings, but unfortunately Josh didn't get any. As you'll find out if you watch my TikTok, so many murders are being covered up and protected by those good old boys. And I don't say that to say that all cops are bad. I'm not on Team ACAB. But there are many that are corrupt. Sad but true. So what we'll end with Lady G, my friend, my mentor, badass social justice warrior, Lady Guinevere75 on TikTok and Instagram, or as she calls it, Insta. But I can't thank Jess enough for doing this episode and for telling me her brother's story. It is not lost on me that one of my favorite Brene Brown quotes is that we share our stories with those who've earned the right to hear them. So thank you, Jess, for entrusting Josh's story with me. Audience, you're going to notice that the show has expanded. We started talking about recovering from life, and as I grow into a bigger TikTok creator and deal more with social justice, we're going to be weaving social justice and recovery in together. That's just where my life has brought me. So, as I always say, stay in the light.
Hey, TikTok fam, Lady G here, and this king is 31-year-old Joshua Daniel Pacheco. Tragically, Joshua was murdered on October 19, 2016, and no thanks to the small-town good old boy system, the person who actually murdered Josh has never been brought to justice. Strangely, in the small town of Gerber, California, located in Tehama County, it sure seems as if everyone who works for the sheriff's department is somehow personally connected to someone who works at the courthouse and or the county's politicians. Hearing statements made such as, "My uncle runs the politics in Tehama County and he'll get us off," are not uncommonly heard. In fact, that good old boy system works so well in Tehama County that even though Josh's murder was caught on a recording device, a man who was not the real shooter was arrested in order to protect the identity of the real murderer. It's long past time that Tehama County system gets looked into, so call the California Department of Justice and demand an investigation. Boosted justice for Josh!